Awesome. Jakoba, John, how are you doing today?
Good, living the dream on a community call.
Yeah, yeah, it should be fun. Have you been on one of these before, John, since we started them?
Only as a listener, never as a participant.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, so for anybody that doesn't know, John is the product lead at Nahmii, so he's going to join us today for this call. So that should be fun. Um, and just for everybody listening, I guess a lot of you have been on these before, but just in case you haven't, I'll throw it over to Jakoba and John first. If they've any updates, anything they want to talk about, anything they want to let everybody know before we kind of get into the questions and stuff. And then I notice we've got quite a few questions already in the questions for speaker channel just above meetups on the left-hand side in Discord. So I'll pitch those questions and we'll take it from there and we'll see how we're doing for time and hopefully we can get some questions from the audience that are here at the moment. So does that sound good?
Yeah, this is good. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you.
Sure. So I think we can start with the elephant in the room, which is the airdrops. I know the airdrops were promised to happen almost the last week. Haven't yet. They will though ASAP. So yes, we have encountered some small issues, and those have been fixed. And the airdrop, as indicated, is due ASAP. ASAP happening most likely the first few hours of next week. That is the big one. I have not looked at the questions, so I don't know. I presume though that some of those of the questions asked by the community will be about that. Also, right after the airdrops are run, the other elephant in the room is of course the rewards for the NeFi liquidity providers. I believe those calculations are already done at our end, and they should be good to go. So, of course, not because I bring that up first, it means that you guys should not bring it up later, should you have any other questions related to the airdrops. So feel free to bring them up, and then we will gladly take care of those and answer them. The other point, of course, that I would like to bring up is, as you guys know, since last call and on Wednesday last week, we announced SkankDAO. SkankDAO is the initiative we have been working on for a few months right now. We have a fair amount of products being built together with some of our partners. In terms of partners, we'll say that yesterday, as you guys know, we announced Chainwave. We have not been keeping Chainwave under the carpet. That's the reason why we announced it as the first one. Chainwave are a group of guys that we are very close to, with whom we have been working for I think 4 months now. There is more work being done together with the crowd at Chainwave. Now, in terms of the products that I've mentioned that we're working on, we cannot give an exact number. We cannot give an exact ETA. We cannot give an exact definition of what products are those. Although, again, many of you have already seen plenty of queues around crypto Twitter. If anybody is wondering why are we releasing queues around crypto Twitter, it is mainly because we need to use those artifacts as a mechanism to reach out and speak and contact other third parties. But what we can say though, with regards to the products that are being developed, is that there are plenty of them. Some of them are already finished. Some of them could be released today, but reality is that we want to make sure that we have the right go-to-market strategy, and that implies not only the product being in good enough condition, which in some cases, as indicated, they already are, but also the community side of things, which is an aspect where we have historically failed at. And by that, I don't mean that you guys are not a good community, but more the opposite, that we have failed at maybe attracting more degens, or maybe attracting more noise, or maybe incubating better the when llamas and when moons, which in some cases might be good tools to have on your arsenal, right? But yeah, in terms of go-to-market strategy, we really mean two key aspects. One of them is making sure three aspects. The product is in good shape. You have the right strategy to reach out to the community, or to build a community. And third, and most important, is the reach of the product, making sure that you have the user reach at your disposal, right? That is necessarily not an issue when you exclusively focus on crypto projects, mostly because that market is very well defined. And the second point that I've mentioned just already covers it, meaning the community building. But I suppose that you guys can connect the dots and clearly comprehend that some of the projects that we're working on are not exclusively for the crypto community. So that is in very general terms the bigger update I wanted to give you with regards to ScanDAO. We are hiring more people. We have hired 3 or 4 more people since last time we spoke. We're interviewing more people. After Christmas, we resume conversations with some of the different third parties we have been talking to for a few months. Despite what the crypto market might say, if we're in a bull or in a bear market, we don't see much difference in the intent or motivation of those third parties we have been talking to for a few months. With that, I mean that we might have reached the point where if what you have to offer or if what the other third party would like to build is logical and can be somehow detached from the bull or bear market sentiment, that's a good thing, because it means that those business development opportunities will progress. It's not their natural course, irrespective of what the price of the ETH or Bitcoin is. And well, as also Darren indicated, we have a new guest here with us, which is our VP of Product. I suppose many of you might have seen him around for a few years now, but I believe that maybe none of you might have heard his voice or might not know much about him. So maybe John, I'll give you the stage now. Maybe you can introduce yourself and you can tell the community a little about who you are, and then we can open up for questions.
Sure. Thanks, Gabo. So hello to everybody who I haven't exchanged messages with in the past at some point. So my name's John Derbyshire. I'm the VP of Product at Huobi, based in the UK. My connection to the company goes back a long time, all the way back to 2017 when it was still Huobi. Obviously, we've changed the name, but a lot of the core personnel is still here. So I originally helped as an advisor on the ICO back in 2017, and then came on board full-time as product lead in 2018. I've been working for the company in that sort of role for quite a long time now. So my background prior to joining Nahmii and Huobi, I strangely was an academic for a while. So I studied at the University of Manchester along with our COO, Mark. We go back a long way. I grew up with Mark, known him since I was 16, so well over 20 years now. And after studying there, I have a background in physics and philosophy, which is a strangely good mix for the kind of work that we do. So I'm technical enough to work with the dev teams, but not too technical enough to tell them exactly what to do. And my main interest in what we do is building things that are different, building things that are interesting, building things that aren't just the run of the mill, and designing things that basically will move the needle in the blockchain space. So my PhD, which I did at Manchester, I wrote about using random choice processes to solve moral problems, which is interesting, and you'll learn a bit more about this when the announcements come for some of our products. But it makes for quite a nice fit with the way the crypto works. So I have an interest in engineering. I also have an interest in slightly less technical pursuits. I wrote the white paper for Nahmii V1 and V2 along with the rest of the team, providing the technical input. I've appeared at a couple of conferences along with the Kobo in Lisbon at the GEN Summit, and also InnoWave in Bulgaria in 2018, presenting about what Nahmii does in layer 2 scaling solutions. So you may be familiar with some of my writing. An awful lot of the Nahmii blogs were written by me back in the day. But yeah, my role now is a little bit more focused on the product side. As Gobo mentioned, the team's grown substantially over the last year. We're adding seemingly a new person or people every week, and I don't see that slowing down. So looking a little bit further ahead, I think that where we're going with Skunk DAO is particularly exciting. Some of the things that we can't tell you about yet, and I know we'll mention ETH Denver later on, Kobo, but some of the things that we're planning on potentially showing at ETH Denver are, in my opinion, revolutionary, that no one else has even attempted in the industry, let alone actually delivered. So we're looking for any kind of product that showcases what we do well and what we do uniquely well. Something that has a need for high throughput, instant finality, low predictable fees, all the good things that you've heard about previously. That's our sweet spot. That's our target market. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. As I said, based in the northwest of England. I have 2 kids. My youngest is only 3 months old, so I get no sleep working for Nahmii and no sleep with a baby at the same time. So yeah, I'm kept busy, but it's nice to meet everyone. I've obviously dealt with most of you before in some way or another, but to be on the community call is a real privilege. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, John. Thanks. So guys, let's open up for questions then. Darren, whenever you want.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. That was a great introduction, John. Okay, so the first question was from Max709, I believe. When can we expect to have governance established for Nephi? I'm sitting on Nephi token with no utility whatsoever at the minute.
That's a good question. We have some news coming up on Nephi over the next few weeks. What I can tell you is that we will indeed present the utility of the Nephi token on a more general update, which I think that Nephi is the second elephant in the room. So I've only addressed the first one, which were airdrops. In terms of Nephi, we have been today, I think it was 11 a.m. or 12 a.m. 12. We have had 11:30. Sorry, we had an update from the team. We have seen the lending working on testnet. We have a tentative ETA to be deployed to mainnet, which we will not give you just yet because that's going to be part of some of the updates that we need to talk about, which is roadmaps. And yeah, so we will probably be providing those details over the next few weeks. So first of all, we will release the news about Nephi. We will indeed release the lending protocol, and then we will describe details of the utility of the token together with the roadmap.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so that the next one is from IZZ. There's actually a couple of questions tied into this, and I feel like to a degree we're going to cover some of this with many of the other questions. One is a bit general. So the first part, what would be the new use of the new HBT? Should we take it one by one? There's 3 parts to this question.
Sure. I mean, let's do one by one. That way, for example, John can also answer some of the questions, or I can answer some.
Yeah, sounds good.
So the first one was, what would be the use of the new HBT token? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. John, do you want to take that one, or should I go ahead with that one myself?
We'll split the answer if that's okay, Kobo. So
sure.
In terms of the original idea behind the HBT token and the project that inspired it, that project hasn't disappeared entirely. Obviously, we have spent an awful lot of time, money, and energy on the infrastructure side of things, and the whole inspiration for Nahmii in the first place was the Huobi network project 5 years ago. We only built Nahmii, if you remember, because we couldn't do what we wanted to do with the content marketplace and the content verification and all these cool ideas on the existing technology at the time. Now, I think Nahmii has grown to be bigger than we probably anticipated it would be when we first started down that path in early 2018. So naturally, our focus has been primarily on Nahmii. But what I'd say, and Kobo, I'm sure you can add a little more to this, is that the original ideas that inspired the HBT token and the Huobi network project have not been abandoned. I think that's still a solid idea and one that we wouldn't necessarily step back from doing in future.
That's absolutely correct. I would say that it's even better the fact that we have taken some time between T1 and T2. T1 starting the project and T2 picking it up again. So the what we have seen though is a clear change in the dynamics of how the content is being perceived. And we will see that accelerating even more through this year, 2022, because of the concept of metaverse and the maturity level that some of the NFT concepts are obtaining. So that would mean that we will be probably in a much better position to execute that idea at a more specific level, right? So at first it was about news content. Since we started with Nahmii or Huey Network first, if we could have had, for example, a simple protocol to determine the veracity of news, we could potentially have obtained a lot of market share during the elections in the US and a few other global issues that we have encountered due to misinformation. So that is certainly, somebody could claim that was an opportunity loss, and we knew there and then that we would have been great to have that idea already in the market, that product in the market. Of course, it was not technically feasible because of the scaling issues. With that said, I think that if you fast forward those 5 years and then we see where we are today, everybody's talking about NFTs for music and for other verticals / industries applications. And of course, some of the original ideas we had around content could be applied now at a different scale, by which using a blockchain per se would not be such a big deal, right? Because some of these ideas or the level of maturity that the content is accessing this or is reaching these days is doing so because of the underlying technology, which is a blockchain, right? So 5 years ago, we would have been a bunch of misfits trying to apply a technology that was a bit weird. Now it would be potentially easier, apart from the fact as well that we have Nahmii, which makes things more tangible.
Yeah, that's some really good points actually. And with the NFT space as well, becoming what it is, it's going to be so much scope there for new ideas and reapplications of older ideas. So the next part is quite a general question, and I guess so what are the objectives of Nahmii for 2022? If we can possibly zoom out far enough to get a high level on that, but I know there's so much going on.
Right. So the question is a fair question. However, we need to break it down in the different definitions of Nahmii. So Nahmii is a company, Nahmii is a protocol, Nahmii is an ecosystem. In terms of a company, our objective would always be the objective as the previous year and next year, which is build. Our objective is to make blockchain commercially viable. That is what we have been aiming for from the very beginning. With that said, of course, we'd love to get a decent amount of revenue. With that said as well, we would have to make sure that whatever products are being built obtain a good, decent market fit, that we can become a leader in the industry, that we can get very solid footprint. So again, those are objectives at high level. Now, when it comes down to the protocol, the Nahmii, the protocol, what we're after is obtaining high availability. So we don't suffer a Solana or an Arbitrum sort of situation, which again, if it happens in many aspects is due to somehow the success that your product might be having, right? Unless, of course, it goes down because you have 100 users and your product cannot take 100 users. In terms of the protocol as well, what we want to do is obtain a decent amount of usability so we can obtain sufficient data points to figure out what should be the next set of features that we should be focused on. We have a clear path towards trustlessness. We will probably start implementing at high level the first steps, but not all of them just yet. Reason is because that will be subject to the level of adoption we obtain because from the adoption we will obtain again the data points that will help us to make better decisions at implementation level. Otherwise, we're just innovating in a vacuum. Now, in terms of the objectives for Nahmii as an ecosystem, is of course ensuring the success of ScanDAO, and I don't think we are short of products to be deployed, or short of work to be done. I think we check a lot of very good positive boxes, and I mean, you, Darren, you have a fairly good idea of what is going on behind the scenes, and we speak on a weekly basis. John, clearly you have a much better detailed idea as a VP of product. But I don't know, John, what would you like to add, for example, at the objectives for Nahmii as an ecosystem?
So I think in terms of the protocol itself, there are a couple of things to tick off there before we get into the ecosystem picture. So the first thing that we've said for the protocol is we have decided to optimize for high availability. So we want a system that is rock solid and reliable. And that will guarantee that if you're building on top of Nahmii, you can take advantage of the features that we sell ourselves based on. So that's something that we've managed to achieve so far, since that was our main focus in Q4 last year, moving to Q1 this year. There are some quality of life improvements with the protocol that we're looking to bring in, and this hopefully doesn't give away too much in terms of roadmaps, but things like fiat on-ramps are a clear focus for us at this stage. Now, looking a little bit wider at the ecosystem as a whole, now the goal with ScanDAO is to offer a whole end-to-end picture for the Web3 space. So that will cover pretty much any project that you can think of at the moment that's attracting a lot of attention. We have some ideas about how we can incorporate that into the Nahmii ecosystem. So that there are always little clues in the things that we say on these calls about what's coming. And I need to be very careful about the things I say, because some of those projects I find particularly exciting, especially the ones that tie multiple aspects of what the protocol can do together. So the best products, in my opinion, that we're building at the moment are ones that showcase each individual part of what Nahmii can do. And I'm going to stop there because I might give away a little bit too much. But I think ETH Denver in particular will be an interesting milestone for us, in the sense that things that will be announced around ETH Denver and the products that we're looking to showcase there, I think they will go a long way to demonstrating what we can do as a protocol.
Yeah. Darren, next question.
Yes. So, second now, apologies.
Yeah, I think it's a question. Are we going to implement weekly HBT in if it works?
Yes.
In progress update reports to the team. So I'm not sure about weekly. Keep in mind that while everybody would like to know at all times what are we doing, we also have got a day job, and it's more important to deliver and keep everybody informed on a weekly basis. So there is a sweet spot between, or there is a middle ground between no communication, or almost no communication, as I can comfortably say that we have made a mistake at times, and over communication. And one of them, of course, you guys can get PC and uncomfortable and wondering if we're doing yet another rug pull like all the other teams. On the other hand, or the other end, it would be us getting PC that you guys are a burden, because we have to provide you with comments every week, which quite frankly we don't want to do because we don't have time for it. So no, weekly we're not going to implement, I can tell you right now. That is the short answer. But again, we need to find that sweet spot. For example, at protocol level, there is not going to be much to report for potentially a while. We don't have to, it doesn't make any sense to indicate what is that we're doing to enable high availability. That is, of course, for the team to figure it out and to get the job done. Yes, when it comes down to some products, depending on the stage of the product, it would make sense to provide weekly updates in the formats we did it before, which is actually not too complicated. And we did that for quite a while in Nephi, but then we stopped, not because we're lazy or not because we didn't care about you, but just because we had another shit ton of things going on at the same time. And hey, we had to prioritize, and unfortunately you guys we're the ones suffering from that radio silence. So, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, we need to figure out what the sweet spot is, especially if we would be working hypothetically in 7 products simultaneously. I can guarantee you that we don't want to have to write 7 different updates from 7 different teams, because that alone is going to be 3 days of work for someone a week. So I'm sure you guys, I mean, the same way as I'm pathetic towards your desire of knowing more what is going on, you should also comprehend that we must find that sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It is always a case of trying to balance many things at once. So thank you for that. The next one is from Tanman, asking, why isn't there a roadmap still? I guess that's a tricky one, considering there's so many things happening simultaneously. But yeah, I'll leave that to you guys.
I don't think it's a tricky one at all. I think it's a very valid question, and the reason why there is no roadmap is because we did not want to tell you or anyone what is it we were working on. There's the short answer. Now that you know what we're working on is when we start producing roadmaps. So there will be roadmaps, and there will be roadmaps. Of course, we're not going to show you a roadmap of a product that we're working on that we have not yet announced, clearly. And in some of the cases, roadmaps might be very vague in purpose, because while I understand that you guys want a roadmap, because roadmap is an industry de facto standard done by mostly scammy projects, reality is that 99% of the roadmaps you have been looking at hasn't done anything. And the reason being is because those teams didn't even know what they were promising. So you cannot write a roadmap that is accurate for the next 2 years or even year if what you're doing is a product based on user feedback. So you can have that general vision and ambition of aiming to build X, Y, and Z. Clearly, you can do that, but you have to be very careful the way you communicate that to the crowd, like you guys, because then we can be held accountable for what we said, right? Because we have never commented on the market going up and down, and certainly we're not going to do that about our project. But as I'm sure you guys will understand, there is a clear correlation between green charts and happiness, and red charts and sadness. And when sadness comes, all the things that a team can be held accountable for will be thrown on the table, right? Even if it is not being listed on a exchange or whatever. So we are going to have roadmaps, clearly, and the roadmaps will come at the right time. The first roadmap we should be taking out is the Nahmii one. We're not going to show you roadmaps of products that we have not yet announced. And as soon as we announce those products, those roadmaps will also be shown. But as indicated, some of them with a higher degree of certainty than others, or detail than others.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, it makes total sense. I can absolutely understand all of that. And roadmaps are kind of like a double-edged sword in that way. So the next one comes in from Anon92, and they're asking about the airdrops, and they're essentially asking about the delays and asking why is it so difficult to finalize the push out, and they apologize for the saltiness in that. Yeah, and if it doesn't happen on Monday, would there be an explanation given as well, basically?
So first of all, I don't think that there is any saltiness there. I think it is only a fair question. As indicated when we opened up the meeting, I did say that was the elephant in the room, and I wanted just to clearly indicate that we're aware that we're late. Second, to show you guys that we have no problem talking about it. Third, it is part of the rules of engagement that we have between you and us, meaning if you hold HBT, that's what you're getting. We have been, again, we cannot appeal to the history of having been doing this for 33 months successfully and having run away. We're not running away, in case anybody's feeling uneasy. I think that is clear. And second, there is no other excuse to give you rather than, what we said before Christmas that we don't need to bring up again. So it doesn't sound like an excuse. And this last few days, well, has been a shit ton of stuff going on. So we will get it done ASAP. And that ASAP, we hope to be the first hours of Monday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, one second. Can you ping Swear to let us know if the airdrop for some reason does not happen? Yes. Well, I mean, I don't, yeah, I can. I don't swear. Well, I swear in the sense of having a potty mouth, and I'm actually very good at that. I don't swear. I went to a very religious school, and I was expelled in the 8th grade, so I don't need to swear. I don't believe in that. But I can promise you that if it doesn't happen the first few hours of Monday, we will let you know. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. So the next one is from Sanders Mavia. I believe hopefully I said that right. So they asked, I've been providing liquidity in Uniswap v2. However, I forgot to migrate to v3. If I migrate it now, will I still be eligible in the monthly airdrop?
The way airdrops are calculated is based on what we call balance blocks. So if you migrate from one to the other, yes, you will be eligible for whatever remaining of the month you are exposed to. So yes, that's the answer. Is that a fair summary, John?
Yeah, it is. I think it's just important to be clear that the incentive was previously on Uniswap v2 when we moved from providing incentives on v2 to v3. At that point, if you haven't migrated your liquidity over, until you do, you won't be getting anything in terms of the incentives because they've all moved over to v3. So as long as that was clear to everyone on the call, when we're doing Uniswap v3 incentives, you have to provide liquidity on v3. But what Kobo said, I think it also ties back to the airdrop question. We've always done things as best as we can in the most correct way we can. And that means the way that we calculate allocations for the airdrop is a little bit more complicated than other people's ways of doing it. We don't just take a snapshot of a balance on the last day of the month or the first day of the month. We look at both what you hold and how long you've held it for. So these are the balance blocks that Kobo was talking about. It does make our calculations a little bit trickier. It's the reason why we're upgrading the HBT token, because the airdrops take a fair amount of time. At the moment, they're quite manual. So we're also in the process of nailing down a more automated way of calculating the incentives. And obviously we have incentives now that are split across Uniswap v3 and Nephi. So in our case, it makes sense to do this in a way that doesn't eat up developers' time or CTO and CVAR's time. We're trying to simplify this as much as we can so that we can run these airdrops on the first day of the month or the first working day of the month, and it's mainly or entirely automated. So yeah, wherever the incentives are at any given point, at the moment they're on v3 and Nephi. If you provide liquidity, you will start earning from the first block that you provide liquidity for. So if you're currently on v2 and you migrate today, you'll get a couple of days worth of the January allocations, and then you'll start earning for the full month of February if you keep your liquidity there.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that clears that up quite well. So the next one, that's a tricky name. Ed Rulig, I think. So they asked, is there a timeline for when the waiting time for withdrawal to layer 1 from Nahmii, when that will be instantaneous? Would it be 2022? Has it been considered to reduce the time in steps, like a gradual reduction to 5 days, then 3, and so on?
Right. So the short answer is yes, it has been considered. It's something that we're working on. That is what we call the instant withdrawals. So there are two different things to note based on the question, right? And one is reducing the time, and the other one is enabling instant withdrawals. So while reducing the time, it can be done. It doesn't mean that it would be complementary, or it would be the alternative to enabling instant withdrawals. Let me elaborate. So the number of days that you have to do the settlement is basically security period of time where any third party could identify fraud, while when you do, or when we implement instant withdrawals, it means that the settlement is given to a third party, or your balance is being provided to a third party. And when that third party would like to exit, we'll have to go through the same settlement time. So we have a couple of actors that are interested in actually 3 different actors that are interested in acting as a liquidity provider for instant withdrawals. That is one thing. The other thing is reducing. So and yes, our aim is to have it on 2022. So that is certainly one of the items that you would get to see on the roadmap. And by the way, just we might or might not be working on that already. Just for you to know. And the other aspect, which is the reducing the 7-day period to exit, I believe that is still configurable, so we could potentially reduce it. But it would be better for you as a user, of course, or as me as a user if I from the protocol. But I don't think we have considered reducing it from 7 down to 5 or 3. John, is that something that we have discussed internally? I don't think so, right?
It is something that we've considered. Obviously, Nahmii V1 had a 5-day settlement period. Nahmii V2 has a 7-day settlement period. I think it's worth making the point that there will always be some settlement period for a normal withdrawal from Nahmii. So instant withdrawals are something separate. They can be enabled by smart contracts. There's different ways of doing it, but the fundamental architecture of the system will always have that withdrawal period. Most users, we expect, and we say this in the white paper, most users will not ever touch the settlement and withdrawal function in the future. We imagine that the instant withdrawal ability will be the main way that people get funds out of Nahmii. So it's effectively a product that sits on top of a product. It's only a small one, but instant withdrawals is separate from the current process of settling and taking your funds out. We can change that number. We could make it longer. We could make it shorter. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that a 5-day waiting period or a 7-day waiting period or a 2-month waiting period, it doesn't make much difference to the average user. What makes a difference is, can I get my funds out straight away? If I'm a trader who's performing arbitrage on NeFi, can I get my funds back onto mainnet and recycle them into another trade? And that's the main utility for instant withdrawals in my book. So there'll always be, if you go down the path of interacting with the smart contracts and doing the conventional settlement and withdrawal process, that'll always be there. But instant withdrawal is designed to allow people to completely bypass the traditional way of getting funds out.
Awesome. Thank you. So additionally, it's funny, the next question will kind of tie in with that a little bit. It's from D-Dog. So what are the team doing to ensure security on the Nahmii platform?
That's a good question. So again, it's a multi-level question. So from an engineering point of view, we absolutely follow best practices, and that is, I believe, something where we considerably, or we can be considerably better than most. Keep in mind that many of us comes from either having spent many years in investment banking or oil and gas, where specific systems go through very important layers of security. Of course, we try to hire the most qualified individuals that are good at what they do and can contribute positively, translating into having a more secure environment. We certainly try not to hire CFOs who have got 15 years of conviction history, like some of the protocols I've come across since last night. And that's kind of an important one, right? Especially if you want to have your assets safe. Not put intended. It's just that it is fucking ironic. And what else? Again, everything comes down to best practices. Having just making sure that the, for example, ratio of lines of test code versus lines of production code is higher. Like in Nahmii 1.0, I think it was 3 or 3.5 lines of test code per line of production code. Right now, one of the products we have built, we have just spent the last 2 months writing unit tests as well. So again, it is a multi-level question. We try to follow best practices in possible. That's the answer.
Fantastic. So, and yeah, regarding that story from yesterday, it's on my reading list for today. I heard about it, but don't know what happened exactly. So,
Funny enough, I've known, or most of us in the team have known one of those guys, not the guy with the track record of having been jailed, but some of the other actors involved in there. We have known them since late 2017, when they were basically nobodies in the crypto space. And watching it from the distance, the development of those characters, I would say that it is interesting and amusing, to say the least.
yeah, there's probably some documentary level content there for someone to flesh out. It'd be very interesting. So again, another one from Anon92, and again, it touches on the withdrawal questions above. So what exactly happens during those 5 days? 5 days, I guess it should be 7 days. Has there ever been a fraudulent attempt to withdraw from Nahmii?
So I suppose that the fact he asked for the 5 days, it means that he experienced drawing from Nahmii 1 and from Nahmii 2.
Yeah. Apologies, that's true.
No, it's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to infer the kind of user. And then second, has it ever been a fraudulent? No, it hasn't. So exactly what happens? Well, I can give the mic over to John. He's way more qualified than me to answer the question in detail.
Yeah, so during the settlement period, the reason why that settlement period exists in the first place is because it gives people, or generally it'll be software rather than people, the opportunity to check someone's withdrawal and look at their transaction history, make sure the withdrawal isn't built on fraud, make sure that the operator of the system hasn't signed for transactions that they shouldn't have signed, make sure that the person withdrawing isn't trying to withdraw on an old receipt, for example, in V1, so that they're trying to overrun the balance. So they're asking, so let's say you had 10 NE tokens in your account, you sent 5 of them to Akobo and then 5 of them to Darren. If you have the receipt from the first transaction, your balance is 5, but after the second transaction, your balance is 0. I could say, well, look, I want to withdraw, and here's my receipt from the first transaction. I have a balance of 5 at that point. What we can do in terms of V1 is your withdrawal could be challenged, or your settlement attempt could be challenged by someone providing the receipt from the second transaction. That second receipt shows that you've spent those 5 tokens, your balance is actually 0. You're trying to take out more from the pot than you should have done. So in that case, the withdrawal obviously is cancelled. The person who's raised the alarm, who's challenged your settlement, is rewarded. And if it turns out that the operator is at fault, if the operator of the system has signed for things that they shouldn't have signed, we have an operator bond, which acts as effectively a reward mechanism for anyone identifying fraud. In V2, it's a little bit different, but we run a network of verifiers. They are checking the network, they're checking those transactions, identifying fraud. And we also retain in V2 the ability for people to challenge a fraudulent withdrawal. So that's the reason for the 5 days, 7 days period. It gives people time to respond, to say this attempted settlement and withdrawal is fraudulent, here's the evidence, and that's how it works.
Awesome, thank you. It's very clear. It's a lot of sense. So, the next question, I suspect we won't be able to answer because it's in relation to exchange listings and basically when exchange listings. So I guess we can't go into that.
One will be seeing now in other platforms like Coinbase and Crypto.com. That's a good question, but that question should be asked to Coinbase and Crypto.com, not to us.
Yes, a redirection of the question. Okay, so next one is from Crypto Moose, in which we've touched on already in hard?
No, but before you go there, Edrelig is saying ask before you won't get an answer. You did get an answer. You did get an answer, and the answer is that
Yeah.
you guys will have to ask Coinbase and Crypto.com because that is, I mean, we know as much as you do. That is the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair. So Crypto Moose has asked, please release the roadmaps of Nahmii and Nephi. I guess we've touched on the Nahmii roadmap already, but I suppose there any more specificity we can offer in terms of the Nephi roadmap?
Well, we have indicated a few things about Nephi, right? Early in the conversation.
That's
we
true.
have said that lending is being worked on. We have, John has said that fiat on ramp is something that we really want to get in there. I have said that we will have about Nephi, and I've said as well that we will be sharing the roadmap as soon as some of those news are being released. So yeah, that has been covered.
I think, just to add to what you said there, when we talk about the wider piece of what we're looking to achieve, so the kind of products that we're looking to build through Skunkdo, we want to put Nephi at the heart of what we're doing there. So we see a role for Nephi in all the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we have more of a comment from Mr. Dav, and again, this is something we've talked about on previous community calls and many places. They didn't understand the difference between Nahmii and other second layers, and Boris kindly linked them to our blog, which is an excellent resource there. But yeah, I guess we don't want to go into that too much but obviously I'll leave that up to you, Jakob and John.
No, I mean, what I will say is that I don't think that you're alone. I think that it is overly discussed topic, layer twos, and most of those discussions happen at borderline metaphysic level. I don't think any of them are clear, at least in my humble opinion. Although we have tried to humanize the subject a lot, you have my full empathy if you really don't get the difference between A and B. But just to make it simple, rollups are expensive, will remain being expensive, irrespective of what the CEO of one of those rollup companies convinced Vitalik to do at block level. If they go down in price, or if they are cheaper to use, will eventually become expensive again. The time that it takes for those transactions to be final is going to be awful. 10, 12 minutes, 16 minutes. And the other key difference is that they cannot guarantee you how much a transaction is going to cost, while we can fix the cost of that transaction irrespective of anything, right? And the same problem that all of you have with Ethereum, when you use Ethereum, that gets congested and gets more expensive, absolutely the same is happening today with rollups. So in essence, that is the biggest difference at usability point of view, right? From a user experience point of view. I've just skipped the technicalities, right? I didn't comment on the periodic commits and stuff like that. I hope that helps somehow.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so we have another one from Anon92, from a Medium article dated August 24th, 2021. Most important, so this is a quote, most importantly, we'll keep you posted on the companies choosing to build on Nahmii 2.0. We can't share their names just yet, but suffice to say, there are a number of established institutions in a variety of industries who have evaluated the alternatives and chosen Nahmii. Can you now, and so end quote, can you now 5 months later tell us the name of one of these established institutions? And second part, how many of these do you expect to be up and running by this summer and by the end of this year?
Right. So no, of course, if we could comment on those names, we would have done it by now. So that already negates the question. Clearly, we would like as many as possible, but instead of quantity, we're going for quality. Then your question is about how many of those companies would have something Nahmii by the summer? The answer is I don't know. If your question was how many products do we expect to have on Nahmii by the summer, the answer was still I don't know, because in reality we don't know who is going to want to deploy on top of Nahmii or when they're going to do it. But of course we do know what products we're working on together with the other partners we have in SkankDAO, and a rough idea of how many of those products will be deployed. With that said, as I'm sure you will understand, I cannot answer that question either. But yeah, we feel very confident over the work we're doing. And also, by the way, as a side note, and by the way, it's not a criticism to the question, but I wouldn't focus too much on the quantity, mainly because there are some other examples out there that demonstrate that it's more important quality than quantity. So I think it's harmony that 90+% of the TVL of that blockchain comes from a single product, which is basically generating all the revenue. So there you have it. I would rather prefer having a product alone with 10 million daily users than having a crypto announcement every week for a year or every day for a year, announcing crypto partnerships or crypto products being deployed that are never deployed. So hope that answers the question.
Yes, quite well, I think. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next one is from Pete Pro 7. Okay, so are the team using a marketing company to produce their social media content, as currently it's very poor and not much effort going into it? Just reposts as an investor, it is frustrating to see. So when will they be upping their game to create content that will attract people and stand out?
Right. So I respect your opinion. Yes, we do have a marketing company with whom we work. I respect the opinion that you think it is poor. But I would like to know what exact pieces of the content you think are poor, and not give an opinion, but instead sustain it on facts, so then we can actually have some data points to improve on. That would be a lot more helpful. We did get a fair amount of praise during the time when we were publishing articles comparing Nahmii versus other layer 2s. It is true that there is a clear correlation between us stopping writing a lot of content and starting the work in SkankDAO, because as indicated, SkankDAO wasn't born last week. Last week we just announced it. Again, I'm sorry if you feel that sharing that as an investor makes you embarrassed, but I would like to, instead having general feedback, I would like to have concrete feedback from you, so we know what we can improve. As in my opinion, I think that 90% of the white paper and articles out there are basically either one big pile of shit or are artifacts to push the fundamentals of those companies. While when we push information out there, we try to make it as educational as possible to share knowledge. With that said, it's also important to know the nature of the game. And while the vast majority of people are in the industry for a quick buck, I understand that it is easier for them to feel more appealed towards fundamental articles rather than educational content. So again, if you provide us with those data points, then we will have something to work against and improve.
Awesome, thank you, Jakob. So next one from Astronaut. again, it kind of touches on the Nephi utility, which we talked a little bit about earlier. So what is the point of holding Nephi besides the possibility of gaining some market share from Uniswap and PancakeSwap, etc.?
I love the question. It's purely strategic. And I hope that this will make sense. Considering now that we are working on a fair amount of products, and the comment from John, where he has mentioned that we will make Nephi, a core product of what we're working on, and how we'll liaise with all the other products. We don't see any point right now on promoting it left and right, and trying to attract a lot of users or TVL or whatnot. Mainly because in the Nahmii ecosystem today is Nephi. So with 2 or 3 more key tools around it, or key products around it, then we suddenly have got a pretty sweet and powerful ecosystem. So very valid point, and thank you for the question.
Awesome, thank you. So, okay, the next one is from Ed Rulig again. Is there any chance we will need more funding to keep going to pay employees, etc.?
So this is another question that comes that is very much related to the green and red candles that I indicated before. I don't think I need to answer the question because it has already been answered. We are hiring and we're spending money. Mm-hmm. So we're in a good position, and no comment. The same way as we didn't comment during the bear market, we didn't comment during the previous bear market, and we didn't comment during this bull market. Again, this question is mostly induced by the fear of the current market conditions, which expands to the portfolio of those holding specific tokens, which again, I fully respect. But our job is to keep on grinding and building and delivering, and that's it. And we're good to go.
Awesome, thank you. Sounds good. Excuse me. So the next one is from Harry Pitter. So okay, they're not able to attend, but looking forward to the recording. And they've prefaced this by saying they understand that the questions they have might be NDA sensitive, but they're going to try ask anyway. What can you tell us about PlayFi is the first one. Actually, a lot of them are related to PlayFi. Okay, so yeah, it kind of negates a lot of the rest of the questions. Then Twitter handle is still active, so I take it this is a work in progress. Can you confirm? Was Nephi formerly PlayFi? Logos are almost identical. So yeah, so we don't know what PlayFi is. Okay, perfect.
No, I don't.
Great. In that case, I'll move on to the next one. Mike R. Regarding the upcoming NFT marketplace, will the marketplace be a part of Nephi? And could I move my NFT from ETH layer 1 to Nahmii layer 2? And yeah, I suppose I don't want to ask all at once. Where do we go from there?
So as indicated before, we have been releasing queues. None of those are about a marketplace. So yes, there is an marketplace coming up. No, it will not be part of Nephi, but still doesn't negate the possibility of you being able to interact with it from within Nephi. Second, could I move my NFT from the layer 1 to layer? Yes. Of the layer 2 to layer 2? The answer is yes. Could I mint an NFT on Nahmii 2 and move it to Ether? Yes, you will be able to. Do you plan to integrate with Lightning Network bridging? No, we are not. That is not on our to-do list right now. But of course, should it be a use case for it that can be justified with the ROI, absolutely we'll pursue it. But right now, we're not looking at that. No, I think that RapBTC is doing very well. I think that whatever Jack is trying to do with Bitcoin is interesting, but I just don't see the Lightning Network or Bitcoin catching up anytime soon with the Ethereum ecosystem. And to transfer value from one network to the other, we already have the RapBTC, which seems to be working very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So next question comes from hello everyone, and they ask, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're going to do at ETH Denver? Which is a good question. I'd like
Right. So we're going to be giving a lot of overly priced T-shirts to people.
Keep me one, by the way.
Yeah.
I seen them. They look cool.
We have ordered way too many. What else are we going to do? So we're going to be doing networking. We're going to meet hopefully some of our virtual friends in a physical environment. We will be sponsoring ETH Denver. We will probably be having a demo or two of the stuff that we're working on. And if we have time, we'll have a beer.
The bit's very important, Kobo, but the two standout events for us, I think, but there is a plan for us to have a booth at ETH Denver, but we also have a presentation speaking slot where we get to put Kobo on stage, and also a workshop as well. We're not sure whether the workshop's virtual or in person, and that needs to be confirmed. So lots of promotions, showcasing some new stuff that we won't have shown beforehand, and some live demos for people that are there. It should be really interesting.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So just before we go any further, I'll just point out that we've been on for an hour. For me, it's okay to stay around, but Jakob, John, I know your time is very valuable. So if you want to put a time limit on this at any point, or how should we proceed? Good for now?
I know that John has got to go. He was meant to go 3 minutes ago. I'm good longer and answering more questions. So I think that it's healthy for everybody to hear us talk and for us to answer as many questions as possible. So I'll keep on answering questions until I'm being screamed at. And I know I've got a meeting in a little while, but I can keep on doing it for a bit longer. So happy to.
Yeah, Darren, I do need to drop, but I just want to say thanks to you and thanks to everyone for having me on the call. I'm sure I'll be on again.
Hey, thank you too. It's a real pleasure, always. See you soon, John. Okay, so in that case, yeah, Jakob, let me know when you're running out of time, and we'll wrap this up. But yeah, for now we'll just keep going. So, next one from Smuggler, and I'm not sure if they mean how many people can apply or how many people have applied, but I'll go with it anyway. How many teams projects apply for the 100 million USD incentives? More than 10 is the next part of the question. So I'm not sure if they mean have applied or can apply.
Right. So 50 can apply. Officially, not more than 10 have applied, but we have more than 10 already allocated. What I'm indicating with this is that apart from Project A directly applying and then having that as an official application, which we have less than 10, we have more than 10 already handed over because some of the teams that we have been working with or talking to for some time have already asked for one of those slots, and we see that those products add value. So we have handed those over to them. So I promise I didn't mean to overcomplicate the answer. I just wanted to clarify. Hope it makes sense.
I think it does. I think it makes perfect sense. So yeah, and the beauty of this being recorded, people can listen multiple times. So the next question, we've really touched on this, and I'm not sure if there's anything more we can add, but I'll throw it out there anyway in case. It's from Scott A, I think. What role will Nephi play in the ecosystem to come? Knowing what you know is coming, how do you see Nephi interconnecting with other products? And yeah, I know we've touched on this, but
so the key word here is ecosystem, and that's exactly what we're trying to build and put together. And simply put, we see SkangDAO as an assembly line for products. Those products are going to be carefully handpicked to make sure that they complement nicely the ecosystem. You can think about the ecosystem as a puzzle where each product will be a piece of that puzzle. So all of those products in isolation yeah, can make sense to someone. If you're looking at a single piece of a puzzle, might give you sufficient cues to know where it would go, where would fit in that puzzle, and might be useful and beautiful or whatever. But ultimately, what is important is the ecosystem, which is what we're after. So yeah, I mean, NIFA will play a key role, as John indicated.
Yeah, and I think the puzzle analogy is a good one, and I think it's just my opinion. I think it ties in well with the roadmap idea. It's like with so many kind of pieces to a puzzle, and so many angles being worked on at the same time. It's it might not look very cohesive until you make a couple of specific connections between all the pieces, and then you can start to really see a picture. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Again, I'm not sure if we'll be able to discuss the next one because it's market cap related. But I'll ask it anyway. Do you think that such a good project like Nahmii deserves a higher rank at CoinMarketCap? The current rank is apparently 4289, and it still says CMC team hasn't verified the project's market cap. Same to self-reporting circulating supply. And then as a comment on that, this is all from Intellium. They said we need more liquidity on major exchanges, which will help us a lot in terms. So yeah, they're talking about token price and market cap. I guess there's not much we can say there.
No. I mean, there's absolutely nothing I can say there, and there's nothing I'm going to say. But there's a part of the question that says if it deserves higher. If I think that Nahmii deserves higher rank at CoinMarketCap. So you see, as a former semi athlete and hyper competitive guy, I think that everybody gets what they deserve. So there must be a reason why we are 4,289. Now, do I think that is fair? No. Have we done our job to not have that hasn't been verified? Yes, we have reported data over a dozen times, but there is so much we can get done. I don't know why the data is not verified. I have no fucking idea. We have had public APIs pointing to our data for 3 years now. So everybody can bloody query it. You would have thought that those guys could also query it. And it's not that we haven't told them. We have told them privately in Telegram messages. We have filled in the form. We have told them via emails to them. We have told them via their help desk team. So, that's all I can say.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's not really within your control. But yeah, and when everything else comes together, they'll pick up on what's happening, and it'll be quickly updated, I imagine.
Yeah.
So next one from Caveman. How many employees are working on Nahmii and DeFi at the moment?
So how many are we in total? I think we're 25, 27 combined, or 24. I don't know the exact number. We hired 3 people 10 days ago, two weeks ago. We have, I think, another 1 or 2 more coming, either this week or next week. Yeah, we will be total about 27, give or take.
Awesome, thank you. Just a comment from Dennis saying that they love the 3-headed dynamic. It's good to have John on the call. So yeah, much appreciated there. John acknowledged. This is a good one actually. Will leftover shirts be available in a web shop? It's a fun idea.
So given that we have been told it's going to be about 8,000 people attending ETH Denver, and we have ordered 1,000 t-shirts. It might be that there are no leftovers, but what we can do instead is, we could get a list of interest from you guys, and then we could potentially save some. With that said, I will need visibility because I don't want to have to carry 3 more bags to Colorado and then bring them back with t-shirts, right? So there's this thing about logistics that is actually annoying the crap out of me because I'm not looking forward, carrying shirt, head, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, let me know. Of course, we're not going to leave them there, but chances are. But of course, if it's just only inhabited by roll-ups fanboys, chances are that I will have to bring back 1,000 t-shirts. So
Yeah.
one possibility, if that's the case, though, would be to go to the homeless shelters and hand over T-shirts to those who needs them, right? Which would be only fair and a good thing to do. So, but let me know, guys, and maybe I can bring some.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Thank you. So this one from Bubadub. They referred to sweet spot must be crazy high volume areas, no? Where do you see really high volumes in the future? I see it needs to be from bots, like trading bots, Arb bots, Internet of Things, possibly gaming, or do you see permissioned as being the sweet spot?
Babirab, can you please remind me where, in what exact context I dropped the word sweet spot? So I can answer accurately.
Yes, perfect. Oh, they just responded saying, I think John used the word sweet spot.
Right. Does anybody
might
remember?
Be difficult. Let me see. Maybe somebody is raising their hand to speak, possibly. Let me have a look. Not at the moment. Well, I guess we can come back to that in a moment. So, Johan was saying, thank you for a great call so far. Super nice to hear from another rockstar from the team. One question, do you plan to move all Nahmii V1 tokens to Nephi, or does each holder have to move it on their own?
Of course, if we were playing the TVL game, we would certainly do that. But no, we cannot move them, first of all. Mainly because if we could move them, Johan, it means that we could steal your money, right? And the whole point of us is being non-custodial. So we cannot touch your money. We could, however, enable a mechanism for you to move them from one to the other. But again, we need to consider how much time, effort is going to take us, and what would that mean, right? Because it's a one-off piece of work, and it might be too much work, too annoying. What we will do, though, is after the airdrops coming up on Monday, the consequent airdrops will indeed be run on Nahmii 2. Yeah. And then what do you plan we will do? We'll have to move it on their own. Yes. So we have on our roadmap for this quarter, we have the objective to commission Nahmii 1.0, which means that we will have tools at your disposal to be able to claim your tokens and withdraw them anytime you wish. That will not be via Hubi Core, but it would be via a different method. So keep in mind, we cannot move your tokens from A to B. We just cannot do that as a company. We don't have access to your money.
Yeah, that's a very good point for everybody to be aware of. Okay, so Bubba has tried to add some clarity here. So sweet spot, in their opinion, would have to refer to commercial areas where Nahmii's strength really comes to shine. Okay, so I'll go back to the original question just to clarify for everybody. They referred to sweet spot must be crazy high volumes. Where do you see the really high volumes in the future? I think it needs to be from bots, trading bots, Arb bots, etc., possibly gaming. So, yeah, so what would be the sweet spot that would seem to bring a lot of volume to Nahmii? Like, what might be the best applications? That's how I'm understanding this question now.
That is a good question, and thank you for that. So you can think about, so you can divide it into potential buckets. One of them is solutions that we know generate a high level of volume, of transactional volumes, and you have mentioned many of those, which are trading bots, arbitrage bots, IoT in gaming. So that is clearly on our agenda. IoT, by the way, it's, as with everything else, you need to carefully think about the maturity of the industry, right? And how much money can be made in the short term. But yeah, the sweet spot will come down to identifying out of all the knowns which ones are the low-hanging fruit. And clearly, if we would have 2 or 3 trading venues on Nahmii, then it would make all sense in the world to dedicate time to those trading services and arbitrage services, for example. On the other hand, is of course all the unknown industries and use cases. And by that I mean, through 2021, we have seen a lot of movement, both in DeFi and NFTs, and quite a bit of that movement has started shifting towards commercial adoption. So we will see use cases that are not known today. We will see them racing through 2021, through 2022. And our job is, of course, to use our experience to try to identify those early in the process and hopefully being able to tap on those. E.g. could be, I don't know, a fintech company finding a use case on DeFi that can complement their existing value proposition. That could be an example, right? And are we looking onto those? Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's there's so one of the interesting, like really exciting things about this whole industry is, you know, you're just finding new models all the time for whole new kind of modes of business. It's really cool. And Nahmii, that should, you know, that's going to be easier on Nahmii with as the cost of actually doing business will be much less than on it. So it's very exciting. So again, from Bubba this was a separate question in relation to Skunk DAO. The incentive / valuation of 7% for 100K. What was the basis for that decision?
It was a data point that already exists in the industry, not in the crypto, but in the startup world. Y Combinator gets 7% for 50K. There you go. So that is one data point we have, and then the other data point, of course, is the fact we have been running a business that touches crypto for almost 5 years now. So there are all the data points that we can make use of internally that makes us believe that is an absolute fair deal. I know that you're thinking about 7% of $1 billion, right? Like, oh wow, you could get 7% of $1 billion for $100,000. I would say yes, we could. We could also get 7% of one big bag of fuck all for $100,000. So you see, I see your point of view. The question is, do you see? And the way to mitigate that is by understanding that at first, the ones that carry all the risk is us. That's point number one. And point number two, if somebody doesn't like to give 7% for the product to be built together with our partners, then that somebody should be looking for a different place to get his product done. So again, the market is open. The market is free. Everybody can look for better deals. Ultimately, comes down to 2 parties negotiating. Everybody has to set and clearly articulate what they want to get in return, and then, you know, if there is an agreement, then you go to work.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more on that. So the next one is from Superman Kryptonite. And they're saying under the Skunk DAO announcement, tweet, there was about 30 applauding answers of what appeared to be bots. Any idea where those came from? She's going to have a look and see if I can see that.
Yeah, if you have a link, I can check it out. But no, I of course no, I have no idea. Let me check. Oh, link is here. Let me click quickly so I can look at it. Welcome innovation, great initiative. This
Okay.
So I'm just looking quickly.
Yeah, me too. Having a look here. I didn't see it on the Nahmii Twitter anyway, so I'm just checking the skunked out.
So I'm looking at 7 or 8 different. So I've looked at the first 3, 4, 6 answers. 2 of those accounts are from 2021. Some of those are from January 2022, 2011, January 2022. What is laudable? What does laudable mean?
Oh, I should know.
I
think it's like admirable, or that's good work or something.
So 2020, 2022. So no, first of all, I don't think these are bots, mainly because bots tend to have some sort of clear naming convention. These, at least the accounts I'm looking at, and I've looked at, I don't know, 16, 17 now. Yes, there are many of them that are created in January 2022. But the names are real. If you look at those, the stuff that they tweet or retweet is real as well. So no, the answer is I have no idea, first of all, where they come from. And second, I don't think these are bots. And if they were, I have no idea where they come from.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, if you look at a lot of, I've noticed recently. I mean, I'm not the like a long-term Twitter user, we'll say. So, but I have noticed, there's certain threads will just pick up a line of bots, and there's essentially nothing you can do about it. Every so often, Twitter seems to do a purge, but yeah. Okay, so the next question from Tahir Hype Bears. When will we have the ability of staking Ni and Nephi without liquidity? I imagine they mean like without being part of an LP, so like straight staking.
Right. So that might be, or might not be, one of the products that we're working on. So that's what I will say. I cannot comment any further, but hopefully soon.
Awesome. Thank you. So from Caveman, they read that Foundry is one of our first validators. Are there any talks with DCG, their parent company, on further partnerships?
So Foundry is one of our first validators, yes. Are there any talks on further partnerships? We have met them before. It's one of the multiple companies that we have been speaking to. Are there any further talks? Oh, sorry. Are they talks on further?
Yeah.
No, they're not. I mean, DCG is mostly an investment vehicle. And no, we're not looking for money, and we're not asking them for money. So no, that's the answer.
Perfect, thank you. Here's one from Winks. Will anybody else be getting a Nahmii tattoo that is as good as Marek? I actually seen that on Twitter. That is pretty impressive stuff. So yeah, I guess that's kind of a question for the community at large. If anybody's going getting a tattoo.
I'm not getting a tattoo. That would be my answer. I don't think I need to show my level of commitment anymore by getting a tattoo. I think that while some of you guys might have been around, I've been doing this for 14 years. And, some of my kids have only seen me doing this job. So I think I'm committed enough. I'm committed enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the next one from Pete Pro 7. Hi guys, I saw some reference to South Park from the Fook Twitter account, I think it was, which you're right, it was. Is there any link to this and potential NFTs launching on Nahmii? I guess they mean like South Park NFTs.
Oh,
also, what is the situation with Fook launch?
I'll tell you what, if we would get to launch South Park NFTs on Nahmii, that would be
amazing.
That would be the height of my career. I would do nothing else just that. I mean,
Yeah.
the South Park is the ultimate religion this world needs. Nothing else. And by that I mean is the most irreverent, politically incorrect, acidic but yet smart intelligence that exists. South Park is I don't know. I mean, I've watched a lot of South Park. I absolutely love South Park. I think that it is just fucking brilliant, and I wish we could do that. So I suppose that by my answer, you can infer that unfortunately is not the case. Unfortunately, it's not the case. I just wish we could. You never know.
That would
Maybe
be
I should
great, though.
that. Yes. Maybe I should make that my my life objective, to get Carmen and Eric, and I would definitely start making. I mean, we should maybe start making memes about the day walkers, right? And ginger kids suffering from gingivitis and stuff like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot there to do. But yeah, to anybody that hasn't seen those South Park clips talking about NFTs, just please do it. It's fantastic. It's so funny. So, okay. I think that's actually all of the questions in the questions channel. Yeah, it is indeed. I guess if anybody wants to raise their hand, well, let me see. We're coming up on an hour and a half, Jacobus, so I'm aware of your potential time constraints and your very busy schedule. So if there's anything that you would like to touch on or share that we haven't kind of went into, or we can open the floor for people to ask more questions, or we can see.
No, I mean, I just hope that everybody is content with the answers provided. I have to thank for all the questions raised. I hope that things are clearer. I hope the level of relatively unfiltered transparency is not necessarily appreciated, but it is accepted. And as indicated on the very few tweets that I do, I'm personally very, very, very excited about what is coming together with SkankDAO and what the ecosystem is going to be about. So, yeah, we're happy, content, and full of energy.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people listening here wouldn't know my specific role in things, and I'm not involved in the weeds of things at Nahmii. But from what I know, I'm also very excited to see the next couple of months play out, and yeah, so good place for us to call it a day. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I've got a call in which I need to take from the bus because I have a meeting in town at 4. So I just wanted to thank everyone, and we'll keep comments open. And as indicated on Monday morning, we promise we will let you know should the airdrop not be executed by then.